happier and healthier life on your own terms. You can use the CD to learn and practice these relaxation and imagery skills. And once you learn them, you'll find that you'll be able to use them anytime when you need to reduce your level of stress. And of course, you can use the CD to guide you as much as you like. The stress response is a physical reaction in your body that we sometimes call the fight or flight response. This is triggered when you run into a dangerous situation, like a wild animal or a mugger. Your body prepares for survival by sending an alarm to the sympathetic nervous system, which curiously doesn't have anything at all to do with being sympathetic.
Okay, we're listening to Dr. Marty Rossman, and we're doing it live on YouTube.
The sympathetic nervous system sends signals throughout your body that increase your heart rate and blood pressure, make all of your senses more alert and acute, and shunt blood to your large muscles to supply extra strength for the emergency. You become supercharged for survival. This is the state we hear about when mothers move cars to save their babies, or people perform heroic acts that defy belief. If you survive the threat, your body goes back into a compensatory rest period called the relaxation response, which in many ways is the opposite of the fight or flight response. The relaxation response is a repair and recharging state of the body, where brain and muscle chemicals are replaced, energy is renewed, and injuries are healed. The relaxation response signals travel through the parasympathetic nervous system, which relaxes the muscles, sends blood back to the digestive system, and lets the brain, heart, and blood vessels relax. This relaxation response allows us to heal and return to normal as quickly as possible after an episode of high stress. Stress researchers refer to the scenario I described as type 1 stress. There is a clearly identifiable threat, an action that can be taken to resolve it, and one way or another, it's over quickly. Fortunately, in modern life, we rarely run into wild beasts or direct threats to our lives. But in the course of our daily lives, we're confronted with many things that are also threats, even if they're not so immediate. And we tend to hold these threats in our minds and worry about them. We worry about mortgages and taxes and wars and jobs and health and loved ones. And the list goes on and on. The thing is, the brain reacts to these thoughts, images, and fears as if they were real, immediate threats. These thoughts themselves can trigger a stress response in your body, even if it isn't full-fledged. The body starts running on high alert, ready to meet a threat to survival. But these threats can't usually be resolved quickly, if at all. Stress researchers call this type 2 stress, triggered by multiple ongoing worries and hassles that often have no clear path of resolution. This kind of ongoing stress is what wears us down, depletes our energy, erodes our mood, and causes us to reach for the closest form of comfort. Because we can't run or fight these sources of stress, at least not immediately and directly, the solution to type 2 stress is to learn to interrupt the stress by triggering the relaxation response on a regular basis. We relieve this type of stress by using the same part of us that caused it in the first place, our imaginations. The very good news about type 2 stress is that because you can create it with your imagination, you can also relieve it the same way, and that's what you'll learn to do in this program. There are two major skills in resolving and reducing stress. One is resolving stressful situations that can be resolved, and the other is changing the way you react to an unresolvable situation. You'll learn relaxation and imagery skills on this CD that will help you do both by learning to physically and mentally relax at will and learning to use the creative problem-solving capacity of your inner mind. Before you start to learn to relax, take a moment to learn a simple way of assessing your stress or tension level. People react to excessive stress in different ways. Some react physically with headaches, neck pain, or low back pain, while others feel more emotionally upset, get anxious, or have trouble sleeping. Yet another group will find themselves smoking, drinking, or overeating in an attempt to reduce their distress. What are the first signals you get that you are carrying too much stress response around? If you're not sure, be alert for what happens as you become more aware of stress and relaxation as you use this program. Whatever your signals, most people feel a greater amount of tension in their body as they become more stressed. In a moment, I'll ask you to scan your body and assess your tension level. But first, I want to introduce you to a handy way to measure your stress level, simply by imagining a scale or a gauge that reads from 0 to 10. This could be a vertical or horizontal scale, or a circular gauge like a speedometer on a car, or any other kind of measuring device that you imagine that goes from 0 at the lowest to 10 at the highest. If 0 represented having absolutely no stress or tension at all, and 10 represented having as much stress and tension as is humanly possible, where would you rate the tension and stress level you feel right now? Just take a minute to become aware of your body and the way you feel right now. You might want to slowly scan your attention through your body with a radar or sonar traveling from top to bottom and back up. Just notice where you would place yourself right now on this imaginary scale. Wherever it is, remember the number or write it down and use it as a baseline level so you can evaluate the relaxation methods I will teach you next. I recommend that you listen to and experiment with the next 2 sections to begin to learn to relax. Together, they'll only take you about 15 minutes or so, and you'll probably find that they immediately help you to feel more relaxed and comfortable. Let's start with a fundamental skill for physically and mentally relaxing, using your breath. I never imagined when I went to medical school how much time I would spend simply teaching people to breathe more deeply and fully, but it's one of the easiest and most effective tools you have for relieving tension and the stress response. Breathing is like one of those cars that student drivers learn to drive in, with 2 sets of controls. Your body will always automatically breathe enough for you to survive. And your breathing is usually regulated without you having to think about it at all by the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems we discussed earlier. When we're calm and relaxed, breathing is normally deeper and slower. Although many of us have developed habits of shallow breathing for wearing tight clothing, trying to hold our bellies in, being overly sedentary, or simply being in a stress state much of the time. When we're overstressed, our breathing tends to become shallow and higher in our chest, like a deer standing stock still trying to avoid being seen by a predator. Over time, this shallow breathing becomes a source of stress in itself because the body doesn't rid itself of waste products that are usually eliminated in the out-breath. The good news here is that we can take conscious control of our breathing. And by learning to breathe more deeply and fully, we can reverse the activation of the stress system and turn on the relaxation system. What you want to do in order to do this is to learn to belly breathe once again. Belly breathing, technically called abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing, is perfectly natural. If you get a chance to watch a baby or an animal breathe while they sleep, you'll see that mostly their tummy goes in and out, and their chest just moves a little bit at the end of the breath. That's abdominal breathing, or belly breathing. To relearn belly breathing, lie comfortably on your back, or recline in a chair. Place one hand on your abdomen and one hand on your chest. And without trying to change anything, simply observe what happens in your hands when you breathe normally. Which hand lifts first when you inhale? Which one lifts the most? Which one moves downwards first? And what moves more, the hand on your belly or the hand on your chest? Now imagine that you have a balloon in your belly, and on your next in-breath, imagine that you breathe right into that balloon and let yourself fill it as full as you can. When you've reached the limit for one breath, let the breath escape from the balloon with a little back pressure against your lips, and follow the breath all the way out, emptying out till the balloon is as empty as you can get it, without straining or struggling. And hold it out for a count of 2. And then fill the balloon again, and hold it in for a count of 2. And then let it empty again with a long, smooth out-breath. And then let your breathing go to its natural rate and rhythm once more. And take a minute to notice what's happening in your breathing and in your hands now. Does it seem the same, or has it changed in any way? Just notice. There are many different timing patterns that people use for relaxation breathing, and here's a simple one to explore. What you'll do is take another belly breath, this time filling the balloon on a slow count of 4, like 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. You'll hold it in for a count of 2 and release it fully on a count of 1006. You hold it out for a count of 2 and then let your breathing become normal again and relax for a few moments. If you can, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So, when you're ready, take a belly breath, filling the balloon on a slow count of 4. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. And hold it for a count of 2. 1001, 1002. And release fully on a count of 6. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. And hold it out for a count of 2. 1001, 1002. And now let your breathing become normal again. And just relax for a few moments. Now when you're ready, let's try it again. And this time let yourself count mentally. You'll find your own rate and rhythm. Breathe in on a slow count of 4. Hold it in for a count of 2. And breathe out on a slow count of 6, letting your out breath be a real letting go kind of breath. Hold it out for a count of 2. Relax and breathe normally. And now gently scan your body again. And just check in on your mental scale. And notice where you would rate your tension and stress level now. Remember, 0 is no tension at all, and 10 is the most tension you can imagine. Notice whether it's the same as before, higher, or lower. Don't be particularly concerned about where it is right now. While you'll soon learn to relax with belly breathing, you might even feel a little more tense right now until you get comfortable with it and find your own rate and rhythm. If you already feel more relaxed, however, you're already starting to feel the benefits. Now, when you're ready, let yourself take 4 nice full belly breaths in a row. Again, inhaling to a slow count of 4, holding for 2, exhaling on a slow count of 6, and holding out for 2. I'll let you count for yourself. Let yourself experiment with it till you find the rhythm that feels best for you. And after 4 belly breaths, let your body relax and just let your breathing go natural. And now, assess your tension and stress level again on your mental scale. And notice what's happened. And now take just a few minutes more to experiment with some simple images that I'll offer you in the next section. Now let's see what happens if you add a few simple thoughts and images to your belly breathing. If you haven't checked your tension level, do that now and rate it on a 0 to 10 scale, with 0 being no tension and 10 being maximum tension. And then on your next 4 belly breaths, imagine that you are inhaling calm and relaxation and releasing tension or pressure as you breathe out. Use the count of 4 in, holding for 2, 6 out, holding for 2, at whatever rhythm or rate is comfortable for you, as long as your out breath is longer than your in breath. Remember, as you breathe in, you bring in a sense of relaxation with the breath. And as you release the breath, you release tension as if you had a pressure release down. You might even mentally repeat the word relax as you breathe in and release as you breathe out. Go ahead and try that. And now breathe normally and assess your tension level again. And notice how you feel. And now, breathing normally, simply imagine that your body is like a sack of potatoes. And notice what that feels like. I wonder if you felt any change in your body as you imagined that. Just notice. How about if you imagine that your body is made entirely of wet noodles? Limp and loose. It can be warm or cold, whichever you prefer. Notice if either of those images relaxes your body. And if they do, remember them and use them when you want to relax. And now to relax more deeply, breathing normally. Imagine yourself being somewhere really beautiful and peaceful. Somewhere you may have been before, or somewhere that just comes to you right now. It doesn't really matter, as long as the place you imagine is beautiful to you, and peaceful, and safe. And just take a few moments to notice what you imagine seeing in this place. The colors, the shapes, the things you imagine seeing. And notice if there are any sounds that you hear in this place. Or if it's just very quiet. Notice what the air is like, or if there's an odor or aroma you smell. There may or may not be. It doesn't really matter. Just notice what you notice in this special place of relaxation and peace. Notice what time of day or night it seems to be. And what time of year. And just relax there for a few moments and enjoy this beautiful, peaceful place. And especially notice how it feels to be here. And just enjoy a few moments there without having to go anywhere else or do anything else. And if that feels good to you, just let yourself soak up the feeling of peacefulness that's there, as if you were a sponge. You could absorb it right into yourself. And just take a little while just to be. And then when you're ready, let yourself prepare to become aware of the outside world around you again. Slowly and gradually. And if you feel you'd like to stay in this peaceful place, that's all right. You can stay here as long as you like until you feel it's time to come back to the outer world. And you can remember that you can visit this peaceful place within you at any time of your own choosing, to draw from the sense of beauty and peacefulness there, whether for a minute, or a few minutes, or longer. And when you come back to the outer world, you can gently open your eyes and look around, notice what's around you. You can gently stretch and become fully alert, relaxed, and refreshed. And before you begin to move about too much, just take another moment to scan your body and once again assess your tension level.